Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pod TV's number one do-it-yourself um, solution show, Timeshares Solution or Surrender. We have Irene Parker, who has helped thousands of people since 2016 find a solution that they could use to get themselves out of situations that they got into with timeshares. Sometimes timeshares just don't work out. Sometimes there were deceptive sales acts, which seems to be the growing problem nowadays is deceptive sales acts. And with us today, we have Irene and Jonathan, who will help a lot of these victims understand whether they really have a problem or if they could use their timeshare a little bit more better, or maybe they do need to find an exit solution. Everyone, help me welcome Irene. Irene, hi. You have a new and wonderful, this is episode 69, but after all of this time, you have a new and wonderful co-host to help you provide some really great solutions. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. Thank you so much. Greetings from Cancun, Mexico. Thank you for allowing me to be on this show with you today.
Oh my God, Cancun. I wish I were there. Oh my God, you've got so much to look forward to while you're there too with what's going on in your family life.
Yes,
but
thank you.
You got there, you're doing all of this in a very cost-effective way because of your knowledge of utilizing timeshare and other travel techniques. And and that's something that I hope that will be shared with everyone. But Irene, we've got some fascinating stories of people today with us.
And we're truly grateful. We're truly grateful to have Jonathan with us because his universe is people that enjoy their timeshares and helping them manage what he termed a portfolio of timeshares. And my universe is 100% people that are angry and frustrated. Angry and frustrated. Number one joining us today is Lamira. And Lamira has you spent 6 years in the Air Force Reserves?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and your
Thank
husband
you for your service.
is a Marine and Army veteran?
My sister, who was the...
Oh, your sister. Oh, right. Oh, that's your sister. I just put the other party because I knew she wasn't going to be on the show. So thank you both for your service. And we also we say every day is Veterans Day at TARDA. Joanne's husband is a Marine veteran. Debilitated really with symptoms from Agent Orange in Vietnam. So I've asked Joanne to join us to listen to everyone today because she is going to help us organize our legislative efforts. We have Sharida, who's been on the show before. She's meeting Jonathan for the first time. Sharida works in Marriott resales and rentals. She turned lemons into lemonade, getting her Florida real estate license after falling for the rental pitch, or you could sell it. We'll hear more from Sharida. Sharida, thank you for being with us today. And this is a full house today. We have Krista in my home state of Missouri. And we have one more guest that's at work, so she's going to pop in a little bit later. But what we're trying to get across is it's not just a vacation village. It's not just a Westgate problem. Wyndham, Blue Green, it is. And just last night at 9:30, I have Krista, another Westgate person that said they're headed towards default. Here she is. So now we have Cassandra with us. And so I'm going to start. Cassandra is here. Okay, so what we have, Krista. When Krista reached out about Westgate and the need to default, I introduced her to Tracy and Candy, who have been on our show, that were forced to stop to default 800 credit scores their whole life, forced to default. So I introduced Krista to those two, and it just makes you feel better to know you're not alone. And then last night at 9 o'clock, I'm like, well, I'll introduce you to Tracy, Candy, and Krista. So Krista's going to move over into that support group. So Krista, now Cassandra's at work, so maybe we should start with Lamira. Cassandra may not be able to be on the show for us the whole time. So Lamira, tell us your experience that you ended up here today, and Jonathan and Sherida may be able to answer your questions about this quitclaim deed that you went through.
Me and my sister had went to Vegas for the first time, so this was like my first girls trip or adult trip, and we had got there quite early, so it was kind of on the slides. They was giving us free margaritas and stuff. We realized we could not check into the hotel till like 3 o'clock, so we needed something to do. And it was a lady standing out there, and she was offering free steak dinners at this really fancy restaurant that was there at the hotel, and she was offering a voucher to play slots, a free voucher also if you signed up to go to the timeshare, and they will offer you lunch there as well. And of course, we're like, well, we're stuck with our suitcases. We have nothing to do. Let's go ahead and just go. I always just assumed timeshares was a scam. I was never interested. And at the time, I really didn't travel, was not interested in travel that much at the time. So I was just like, I'll just go get the free lunch and pass time. So my sister went there. My sister seemed more interested because, of course, she has more travel. She was stationed in Japan. So, she was like, oh, yeah, I'm very interested in this.
Were you at Grandview?
I think it was a Grandview hotel.
Resort. That's their timeshare resort. Yeah, with Vacation Village.
Yeah, and I'm confused because like they told us that we were going to get a week or something, or I don't even know how many days because I really wasn't paying attention. Like you will get a set days once a year, and then they also had this other program where you would get like a week for like 500, and then you could sell it on the side to pay for your timeshare monthly fee.
Yeah,
so that's what interested my sister because she's like, well, basically, I get, I can call my family and friends, book it, sell them like 700 or 800, and then only pay them 500 and get like a $300 difference, which will cover the timeshare.
Was she active duty when she purchased?
No, she was a veteran as well, and they told her they would give her a discount because she was a veteran. And then they never mentioned anything about a deed, a mortgage, or anything of that nature. Because if I would have heard the word deed or mortgage, I would have dragged her out of there. Because I know you don't want to do anything with something permanent like that. They told her if she paid the, I think it was like 11, 12,000. If she paid it off over the years, then she would own it at that time of payoff. Not she was going to get a deed and all that. They didn't mention anything about that. And then I really wasn't paying attention because I had drunk too many margaritas and I kind of got sick, so I wasn't paying attention. And then they had us walking outside in the heat to go look at the, I guess, resort or something.
Wait a minute, were the agents aware that you had been drinking margaritas?
Yeah, I told them that. Because I got sick and I was like, I'm about to just sit over here and y'all can just talk to her. So we went outside, the sun is beaming, we walking around, they showing us the resort and they showing us the, what is it, like the inside of the rooms and stuff, how nice they're supposed to be. And then that really intrigued my sister to go ahead and buy. By that time, I was like really, really sick. And I was like, well, we're going to give you guys free lunch. So I ate, I felt a little better. And then that's when they approached me and they were like, hey, if you want to go to this resort with your sister, you can put your name down as like her emergency contact to be like a tag along. They never used the word co-borrower. I didn't even have a job at that time. So that would be, impossible for me to think of even being involved in something like that. And I signed my name down, even had me sign a list of names of other family members that could possibly contact and stuff like that. I never knew that I was actually going to be like on this whole thing with her. I thought it was for me to have access with her if I was to go on the timeshare, like, or something like that, like more like a tag along. They never said co-borrower or anything like that.
Well, and this is one of the reasons, Joanne, I want you to listen to this because you got passed around by the senator in Utah. So we had Megan on the show, pregnant with her third child, just told by a Wyndham sales agent, don't worry about your husband being deployed to a combat zone. You can rent it out and it will pay for itself. And so he said, well, you signed a contract. Which, it's hard to know how to talk back, but reading the contract would not have helped because the contract states you can rent, but doesn't disclose the fees and obstacles. So then I had you reach out to the same senator and they responded to you, you should talk to a New York congressman, but you had copied on that email the 3 Utah residents. So you just have this shoo away like a fly. And at the bottom of TARDA's contact us is, would you be willing to help with legislative efforts? And we haven't done enough for that. So thank you for your volunteering. Now, Cassandra, I saw you smiling and kind of shaking your head. Can you share a little bit about where you're at? I just think hearing Lamira, and it sounds like this sounds really familiar. And then I just contacted you about 9:00 last night and said, could you be on the show to support Lamira? So give us a little background about what happened to you at Grandview.
So me and my family went down. I lost my mom in 2022. So hadn't had a vacation, went down in 23 in April to just kind of get away. And we came up on somebody was talking about Grandview. Also, they was giving money, just giving a lot of different giveaways. So we just went. We had been drinking just a little bit. It was hot because in April it was good and hot. We went the same. They talked to us about 4 hours. Just kept going by. The lady kept saying, if you guys don't buy, you'll be crazy not to buy. This is a good deal. We said, no, that's okay. We got ready to leave. Then one of the, I guess, managers or someone came and talked to us when we was on the way out. He told us, well, I have one that you can get. It's only $6,000. We got it from an elderly couple that's 80 years old. They can't travel anymore. They paid the remainder. Only thing that's left is $6,000. So we talked and we said, okay, we'll take it. The gentleman told us, okay, so what I can do, because the game is coming, the Super Bowl is coming in 2024. If you allow me, I can sell it and rent it out, and that can pay for your mortgage. So I said, okay, that's fine. We didn't pay the deposit then. We waited until August, paid the deposit, which was like $299. We got our RCI number, everything. By the time I contacted him, he was nowhere to be found. He said he had been sick. I had been calling. He texted me, gave me Redwood to check out Redwood to try to rent it out myself. Redwood. To try to rent it out myself. And I haven't heard from him since.
And Lamira, your sister attempted to rent, and when she had problems with it, or did she even attempt?
She, from what I know is that she, I guess, called a couple of family members, see if they wanted to like book vacations. They all fell through, or they couldn't come up with the money in time. So she ended up, I guess, stopped paying and ended up defaulting. And when she did, I think she stopped paying September of 22. So when I went to go getting ready to purchase a home, I started looking October of last, but no, it had to been like maybe August of last year, because I was planning to buy the next year. I realized that I had this mortgage on my credit account, and I was like, what is this? I never took out a mortgage. Like, what's going on here? And I looked into it. That's when I realized that she hadn't paid on it, and it was showing 100 plus 80-day late payments for 2 or 3 years, and I wouldn't be able to get a home loan. So that's when I called them, and I had tried to work with them, and they ended up saying we can just do a quick claim deed. And he promised that if we did the quick claim deed, we would just have to pay a fee, and I think it was like $700 or $800, and it would not be like a negative on my credit report or anything like that, and it wouldn't affect me. He understood that I was a co-borrower, and none of that happened. They still put deed in lieu of foreclosure. It still listed as a mortgage to this day, and I ultimately ended up not being able to get my dream home because of it. And
It's terrible. And Sherida works in buying and selling resale for Marriott. An attorney told me that the credit report is a history, so they may not necessarily be able to erase it. But once the quit claim deed happened, then I didn't have time to check to see if you can remove it or the credit score just comes up quickly. Sherida and Jonathan, do you have anything to add with that? Sherida, we'll start with
Maybe
you.
Jonathan does. We don't deal in any of that. We just, whoever
Yeah.
has the deed, that's the way we
Yeah,
do it.
I'd have to look at the paperwork of how it's done. It looks like from the beginning when you went on tour, I don't know how they qualified you, right? Whether it was as a single, because if you were drinking, then you wouldn't be able to be technically on tour and be able to make a financial decision legally, right? You did this in the state of Nevada, or Florida?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, so either one of them, obviously, you wouldn't be able to legally be able to do that. And then what I imagine happened is at the end of the presentation, when they ran her credit might not have been strong enough. And then they used your credit on top of it as a co-buyer to be able to approve the deal. And that's what I believe. I know there would have had to been a credit app that would have had to been filled out, like social security number, like you would have had to put your social security number, your information, and go through finances. Obviously, it should be explained, very ABC, right? This is a credit app. You're on this. I've never heard it to where someone just fills it out, and I think it's a shame if that wasn't explained the right way. I'm sorry about that, but I'm pretty confident that your sister didn't have the high enough FICO score to get that, and then they used yours. They put it on it, and you should have never been allowed to do that because you were drinking. We'll call it under the influence of alcohol, right? By law, you can't do that, and nor can the resort. But that's what I'm pretty confident happened in that case, right there.
And then we have the third example of Sherida. Sherida has been reaching out to Vacation Village it's been 2 years, hasn't it?
Almost 3. But we just keep typing away.
And just phenomenal. So give us a little rundown of your Vacation Village disaster, Sherida, and the VRI, I think Vacation, what does that stand for? Resorts International.
Resorts International.
Yeah. Their involvement with your sales agent at Vacation Village, but it was in Virginia.
At Colonies in Virginia. So like everybody, you're on vacation and you go to the desk to get your keys, and you hear the cat calls from the desk behind you of a concierge saying, well, why don't you take this little tour for an hour and a half and we'll give you all these gifts. And so we just thought, okay, we're not going to buy, but let's do it. Of course, we were in the meeting for 7 hours with a gal named Jackie, who said she had a friend that worked for that agency, and that she has done this too. She had 2 units herself where she used one to rent out to pay for the other one. And she said that we could have him sell a previous timeshare that we had purchased to pay for hers, the colonies. And being people who believe that people are honest, we thought, okay, well, we'll try that. It was about a year before we realized that this was not working and that she had lied to us. And so since then, I've been writing to them usually every other week, to 6 CEOs, and now to Vacacia, who is managing the place. And
Oh,
continues to
yeah,
be
but I want to stop
current.
you there because Jonathan, I think with Vacacia, I don't know if we're pronouncing it correctly, they have a rental platform. So people like Cassandra and Lamira, and if Sherida was offered a deed back, but she feels, she's entitled to a refund because they told her that she would be able to afford the colonies, and the agent had a friend at VRI that could sell their Westgate week so she could afford it, charge her $299 to list it for $35,000.
Yeah,
And
and early on, they did, we'll waive the $750 transfer fee if you want to give it back to us. Well, we had already paid for the deed. We used all our savings to pay it off to avoid the interest rate. And I said, no, that would just be rewarding bad behavior. So I refused the $750 waive.
but the problem is it's usually advantageous to the resort to foreclose so they can find someone that will pay the maintenance fees. But if by Vacacia or whatever they are, buying DM Management, the management company for Vacation Village, then they can happily rent out dead inventory for the rest of Lamira and Cassandra's life.
Yep.
Right? And never foreclose. Does that?
I just stopped paying I'm still paying the mortgage, I guess the $131 a month, but I just stopped paying the maintenance fees this year, the first of the year. I said, no more, not paying it. I haven't been there. I haven't.
Do you know what your interest rate is?
Not offhand, I don't.
Yeah, so
It's 15 to 19 in that range.
Yeah.
Right.
It's because it's
right.
sold, the paper is sold, right? So it's going to be high.
Yeah, and Krista, I think let's see if we can get, she's not with us right now, but she's coming and going. Here, Krista, can you hear us? Krista? I guess she can't hear us. So, Lamira, do you know if your sister's credit score has been affected?
Because of the timeshare, I think it has been affected, but we are no longer talking to each other because of the whole timeshare thing.
Oh.
And again, I now, even when he was talking about I had to sign papers, I guess I was more out of it than I thought because I can't even remember what I signed. So I know I had to sign it. I had to sign something. I had to give my social security number. So,
right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have no recollection of it. So it is what it is.
Here she is.
Krista,
can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can't see you for some reason.
It's on the bottom.
Okay, is that working now?
No, I can't. I can't. Well, we can hear you. So as long as we can hear you, we're okay. It's funny because I can see you at the bottom. Maybe we have too much with the full house. There you are. I've learned to expect the unexpected. And I mean, I could not believe last night at 10 o'clock, I received a private message from this really nice person who said, here we go. I was happy with Westgate until this last year when they talked me into an upgrade. So here he enjoyed Westgate. He was happy with Westgate, and they convinced him to rent just like they did with Lamira and Cassandra, and upsold him. And then when he attempted to do the renting for profit thing, he learned it was worthless. So then he upgraded again to go back to Utah, and now forced to default. So go ahead and tell us, your situation was pretty amazing, because you also, in addition to the rental pitch, you had the supplemental week. So go ahead and give us a rundown on what Westgate did to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in Branson, Missouri. My husband, my two kids. They are 4 and 7 now. At the time, they were 6 and 3 while we were there doing the presentation. So we had booked our time down there or whatever through. I can't even remember what the company was, but where they give you the discounted rate or whatever, and I wasn't having to do the timeshare feel. And when we went to go, we were informed that it had been changed. We were not able to do our vacation there. I said that is not really cool at all, considering we had everything planned out. We were going to be there at this time, yada yada yada. So they ended up working something out, and of course we would have to do the timeshare spiel. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. So we were there doing that, and they somehow hooked us. I honestly don't know. We kept saying no the whole time. And we were trying to leave multiple times. They got us to do the tour, and I was just like, okay, fine. Like they hooked my husband before they hooked me. But it just ended up happening that way. They sold to us on the rental. They specifically told us that we would be able to use Red Week, and that they would help us with it. They would show us the whole process of everything. They would help us set us up, all of that. So I was like, all right, fine. If it, renting it out will pay for the maintenance fees and stuff like that, that's fine. The whole plan was for my sister to meet us there, and her family would stay with us and all of that. I went to go book the week. I want to say it was in March. And when I went to go book the week, they told me that it was going to be an $800 charge. I said, what? No, I have a timeshare with you guys. It's not supposed to be any charge. They said, well, your weeks are from 1 to 6. I said, what does that even mean? They said, well, from January to February. I said, why would I buy a timeshare in a state that I can't even travel in during that time? I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. I was extremely upset. And so that's what started the whole process of trying to, get rid of this thing, because everything was a complete lie. During our purchasing of it, we were right there doing the signing, and we almost walked away. And I wish we would have. They offered us supplemental weeks. They tell us that we had to pay for the maintenance fee for those supplemental weeks. They made it sound like it was a deal. I was like, that is not right. This is this is bait and switching. I don't feel comfortable with this. They brought in manager after manager after manager. We had at least 3 managers that came in to try to get us to continue to move forward with it. Can we use their names?
No.
Okay. The chief officer of the checkout or whatever, she gave me her personal phone number, and told me that if there was any issues that I could call her. Well, of course, when they had those issues with not being able to book our week, I called her, and as always, they're never available. They don't help at all, and it has just been a nightmare with them. they're lying. They lie on everything, and it sucks because we relied on the fact that we could rent it out. That was one of the whole reasons why we did it. And we also relied on the fact that we could book within a certain. They knew the exact dates that we wanted to rent it in May. They knew it and sold to us weeks we couldn't even use.
It was week 6, right?
1 through 6.
Oh, 1 through 6. And you said you specifically only wanted to travel in May.
Correct.
When did you notice in the contract until we talked that it was week 6, 1 through 6?
I didn't. Once they told me when I went to go book it that it was week 1 through 6, that was when I found out it was week 1 through 6.
Yeah. And Jonathan, while you're here, I want to just round this out. Okay. And, okay. This is, let's see if we can get this up here. This is, oh, it's not presenting. We had on the show, Tom, who retired from, he was with 23, well, I can't bring it up, but he was 23 years with the Baltimore County Police Department. And he was 20 years a Wyndham member and had, been happy, almost 500,000 points, and told him to buy more points to rent, that everyone does it. And he tried using Wyndham's vacation share, extra holidays, and it didn't work. Then attended another presentation, and they said, no, Wyndham's problems, it's a problem. Call this company. And he did. And it did work. He was able to offset about 30% of his costs. And then he was issued a cease and desist letter. So what I was trying to bring on the screen was his pickup truck with a big sign in the back that says Wyndham Sales Lies. We also had 2 people of 3 people that held up signs outside of Westgate. But Lamira and Krista, we had one viewer who was with a resort, and they were very upset that we were not just a poison the well show. And we would be less effective if all we did was report all of these bad practices. So the reason Jonathan is here is that would after this is all over and done with, it might be a year or 2 years. What I feel is that people that have to, now, Joanne, your husband's ill, you can't travel. Sherida already she's got some timeshares, so it's not suitable for everybody. But considering, and Krista, I don't think you were on the screen with us when I was explaining that we're older. And so the last thing I want to do is sign a perpetual contract. We transferred our Maui week to our daughter. But we still can travel. So I signed up for My Resort Co-op, founded by someone I know who's been in the industry for 43 years. He knows people I know. And it's $1,300 the first year, $900 the second, $900 the third. And I was able to book for the first time. The first year I received 48,000 RCI points. So through Jonathan's company, VOA Worldwide, that My Resort Co-op has retained his services for the first year for free. And I said where I wanted to go. I got a list of 5 or 7 choices, and one of them was at Cape Canaveral at a timeshare resort, and it was 22,000 points. I did my timeshare math, and it was $595 using my points, and $224 for the RCI fee, $49 for housekeeping. So that totals $869. So when I went to booking.com, the same week was $1,900 plus 12% tax, $243. That's a huge savings. And the second year, if I want to continue to use VOA Worldwide, I would have to pay $249. And knowing that I saved this much on this transaction, we're not trying to, we don't want to destroy the timeshare industry. We want to preserve it and get more transparency and honesty. So Jonathan, would you like to add any more to that from Cancun?
God, I mean, that's a tough one to follow up on. I mean, it was so well said. It's it's about creating transparency for the timeshare industry. I think that the one lesson that we can all say that we've learned and we should take forward and we should be able to transpire to other people that are listening to this podcast is, if the word rental is being mentioned in a timeshare vacation ownership presentation, we should pause and think to ourselves, can I financially afford this? And do I really want this product to use and without rental? Because rental it's not part of the agreement, right? It's something that, yes, could be done, but you should never buy something in the timeshare industry for rental. And also, making sure that we check the fine paperwork, right? Those little details that are in there, like for instance, week 1 versus 6, that has to be disclosed in the paperwork. Now, obviously, Krista was trusting, and she walked through that process, and I understand that, because you want to trust, you want to believe. But I think the most important thing, those little details that are important to us as consumers, we need to really ask that hard question. And I'll end it on, if you ever get to the point where you are in what's called VLO, or in the contract part of it, and rental is still there, you need to really do a hard stop and talk to that verification legal officer and say, I need to see this in writing. This is exactly verbatim what the salesperson told me, or the manager. And I want to clarify this in writing, not verbally, in writing, what is true and what is not. And I can promise you, if you do that, it will stop. They will stop the paperwork, and they will bring the agent back in, and then you'll have to go through clarification, and you'll know at that point that it's not correct. Right.
Should the agent have told her, though? He should have told her that she was being assigned weeks 1 through 6. But
Absolutely.
what would it have taken, Krista, to use what you have and use it, like exchange it for May with Westgate?
So I don't know the process as far as that goes, because I basically stopped it immediately thereafter. I did look into the whole selling it, or finding somebody to assume the loan. That's what they told me, is that the only option I had was for finding somebody to do a loan assumption. So outside of that, I have not done anything on trying to get different weeks or anything like that. I'm pretty well done with Westgate, so I don't even want to give them the option or opportunity.
Yeah, that's once the trust has been broken. And Joanne, while we have you here, though, because there's Eva, is that her name?
Yeah, she's bugging me.
Okay, welcome, Eva. We love furry friends. So, Joanne, yours is one of the most disturbing situations I think I've heard in a long time. And your sales agent and the manager are two names that I have heard not only from people complaining against them, but from a former Hilton salesperson that was on their team and quit because of being told you have to upgrade to Hilton if you're a Diamond member to be able to exit. Just let us know what this has been like for you. And that I just want to mention that we have a recording of your sales agent doing this to someone else, word for word practically. He was able to resolve his dispute, including a refund, which they don't do out of the kindness of their hearts. And what it has been like battling not only Vietnam effects of Agent Orange, but battling this timeshare. How anyone with a conscience, how the CEO of Hilton could not help you you're one of those nightmare making things for me.
Yeah. Well, it's been very difficult because the one contract that I've been trying to get them to negate is the one that was fraudulent. And I've been doing this for 3 years, and I get the same response every time. We can't cancel that contract. You signed it. And they don't even care that it was what the agent told us was a lie, or the manager. And I just pulled out the contract because my son's a lawyer, and he said I'd have to read the contract to, see what it says. Now, that license to lie, it's right at the bottom before you sign your name. It's not something the compliance officer goes over with you. And it says, by initialing and signing, I acknowledge that I have read and reviewed all the items with my vacation counselor, and all information aligns with the statements made on this form. No other verbal or written promises were made or expected. How many people read that? Plus, they told my husband, don't tell them what we promised you, because then, they won't agree to this contract. Because we were getting the special treatment being platinum members, and we were going to get $15,000 cash back into our account by using the Diamond Luxury program. And I really doubted that, but you
did not sign the contract, did you?
No, my husband signed it. So obviously the compliance officer knew I was there. Okay. Never asked my husband why I wasn't signing it. They let my husband sign this alone. So I've got to assume that it goes right from the bottom salesperson right up to the top. And, I did write a letter to that compliance officer like 2.5 years ago. And he said, hey, contract's a contract. That's it. Bottom line. So, and Hilton, they don't even respond to any of the things I've sent them. I've written to veterans agencies. Now I'm starting to write to senators, because it has to be changed. These salespeople need to be responsible for what they're telling people. Just like not disclosing that it's week 1 through 6, which is January to February. How could you not know that and sign the contract? You know what I mean?
How could they not tell you that? Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Now, they should make that very clear. Very clear. And even in the, when you're signing, they need to make that clear. They will tell you whatever you want to hear. If you tell them what you want, they'll promise it to you. But they'll never give it to you.
Did you file with the Florida Attorney General?
Yes, I did.
And what happened with that?
I'm still waiting. They said they got my complaint and it might take 30 to 45 days. With the New York Attorney General, Florida, I've sent, paperwork about all of this deception to everybody I can think of. So if anybody's got any more people I can send it to, I will keep sending. But every response I've gotten from Hilton and Diamond is, we can't cancel this contract. You signed it. That's bottom line. And we can lower your payments and extend your time period.
Even though your husband cannot travel anymore.
No, and we haven't used either in a year now. And Hilton, we haven't used since we signed up with Hilton, so that we could use our Diamond points in Hilton. And that was in 2022, I believe. which was going to start 2023.
So are
So
you getting collection calls?
I'm getting letters from Hilton. That's it so far.
Okay.
But I've only been in default since March.
Okay. And Krista and Lamira, unfortunately, Nevada is one of the worst states to buy a timeshare, but Vacation Village is headquartered in Florida. So both of you, now Krista, you filed with the Missouri Attorney General?
Yeah, I filed with Missouri Attorney General and Florida Attorney General. I've been in contact with the Missouri Attorney General.
Have you talked? You can call them. Have you talked to them at all?
I have not talked to them. They are very difficult to get a hold of. I have left them messages, but I have not actually spoken to any Attorney General yet.
And Lamira, have you filed with the Florida Attorney General?
No, because I'm currently trying to actually receive the documents and a copy of the contract that I supposedly me and my sister had signed. I don't have a contract, so I don't know what was on there or what happened.
Oh,
And I called about 5 or 6 people. One of them even promised me that she was going to email me the contract, and only thing I got is the copy of the deed that was registered in Las Vegas, and that's it.
Well, and we had one of the another very disturbing complaint just this past week. And Jonathan, you will not believe this. Now, even if we know it's a not a good company, we don't want to say the name in the hopes that they will resolve it. And this also happened in Missouri, Krista. This family had owned Blue Green Points for 31 years. 31 years. They were happy with their Blue Green. They went to this resort in Spinnaker and said that you would be losing locations. Your contracts would become worthless. And we have a board member that knows Blue Green like the back of her hand. And if you don't get out of those Blue Green contracts, you're going to be left with nothing. And then they wanted to charge them $5,000, $1,000 for each of her deeds, which they signed off on this. And then some of those deeds were pretty valuable, and our board member could have helped her sell those deeds. And to think that this resort would do that, to sell them a 3-bedroom just because of the fear tactics of the sales agents that have no clue. I mean, it's just really sad. And for people that aren't familiar, Hilton Grand Vacation purchased Diamond Resorts. I'm a Diamond member, and they also purchased Blue Green. So, Jonathan, is there, what can we do to convince industry leaders that this is happening and something should be done about it?
That's great. It's a great question. I will tell you that, I speak on behalf of myself and the leaders that I surround myself around, the leaders that attend these conferences, that sit down and we have board meetings in Canada, the US, we're having another one in Mexico in November. And these topics come up, and it's something that they are aware of, that it's there. It's something that they do not, they do not want to have it. It needs to change in the structure. And I always say this, last time we did our podcast, is that the responsibility starts at the top, right? It starts all the way at the CEO and all the way down. They might not be involved into the sales because they're in corporate, but they have to set a leadership example. And if an agent, as an example, sells a timeshare based on rental and is violating not only state law, right, but the timeshare license law, right, and doing something that is deceptive and deceiving, because it's a very gray line. Like I said, yes, you can rent your timeshare, but it should never be sold on that merit to do that. I think that those individuals should be banned from the industry. That's my personal opinion. I think there should be a blacklist the Association of ARDA, which I have enormous respect for. I know Jason Gamble very well. I think he's a wonderful individual, and this is something that ethically that I know he doesn't believe in, and neither do the other people that are on that board. And I believe that if they really took a stand, and together as an industry we do it, and we go across and say, hey, there's someone at Blue Green, which is now Hilton, right? Someone at Blue Green, which is now selling in a deceptive way. They should be banned just like a pilot would be on Delta if they were drinking. They cannot go work for American Airlines. And slowly, because the industry in a whole is a wonderful industry, and there's individuals out there that are taking advantage of people that are not educated enough, that are truly trustworthy because they're trusting the brand of Hilton. They're trusting the brand of Marriott, and they're using that credibility of the brand to do deceptive things. And it makes it hard for the people that do things the right way and truly have a good heart and want to help people. So that would be my proposal. And it's something that I'm going to bring up at the next conference as well. And I think it's something that needs to change. And I believe people will get behind it, but it's going to have to start from the top, because all the companies have to get together and be able to say, we are on board with not letting someone go from Wyndham or from Diamond, who is selling deceptively, and jump to another resort. That should not be allowed, in my professional opinion.
Well,
I
and
agree with you. How do we do that? Can we start our list now? Can we get it like a BBB of sales agents going somewhere?
well,
No,
I think we should start with Joanne, Krista, Lamira, and Cassandra, and Sherida all on the same day, sending what happened to them with a link to this interview. There is no, if it wasn't for Timeshare Solution or Surrender, we would not know that this is industry wide.
Right.
Now, Diamond had a problem in like 2016, 2017. In 2011, they changed their rules. You cannot rent to anyone you don't know, and you cannot use a third-party platform. So those rules are clear. I have the most respect for Marriott that allows some renting, right? Because you can, if I'm a Marriott member, I can accept 20,000 points. Now, one question I didn't have though, with Lamira and Kim, you'll certainly relate to this. They were drinking, and she was drinking to the point she was ill, which means she should not have been allowed in that presentation. But Jonathan, is it just her word against theirs that she was drinking?
Yes, at this point it is. Yeah, and unless there's video in the sales gallery
or sales receipts and manifest from the airlines. Airlines are required to keep a manifest of who drinks certain things. They do, but generally, especially if you're buying them on the airplane, like my sister and I were. And I was completely intoxicated too, so I feel your pain. But generally, you would have a receipt if you were drinking a lot, unless you've got videos. But yeah, usually they're going to say it's your word against ours unless you have that kind of proof.
Yeah, the only thing is a video that would be in if the verification legal process when you were signing the agreement, or the sales gallery itself. A lot of them, when I worked at Hilton and West 57th and the Marriott properties, especially as well, these are two of the most credible and best brands that are around there with Disney and stuff. Those sales galleries are being recorded, and they know if something's happening in there, like if there's any type of deceptive stuff that's happening. And the sales galleries that I've worked on, I've seen where people have been drinking and that presentation continued. I will say that in my career with Marriott and my career with Hilton, I never saw anybody complete a presentation that was under the influence of alcohol. They would stop it right on the floor. And that in my opinion, those two companies are good.
I would agree with you on most of it, but in my situation, I told them 4 or 5 times I've had too much to drink. By the third hour of sitting there, I'm like, I'm having a hangover now. Can I get some water? Can you, I am dehydrated. I'm hungry. I'm starving. I was falling over on the desk. I can remember doing that a few times, throwing my head on the desk. Can I just come back and do this with you? when I feel better. So, you know, but again, that part of the story was my word against theirs, unless I had been recording it. But I did have receipt proof. So,
Yeah.
you know, try to dig through things that you have to prove your story. And your sister could witness for you, but again, that's not always taken into consideration. But the fact, and Jonathan, I agree with you. The fact that some of these people are getting away with this is
It's wrong.
it's wrong.
It's wrong. And I
You're
wish
right.
that I truly wish that a corporation, and I say this respectfully because I love this industry. It's given me so many opportunities, and there's so many good people that I've met, and it's allowed me to really give back to others and travel and see the world. And right now I'm at a Marriott in Cancun, and I love it. But it just has to stop. This Hilton, like as an example, if that sales representative did that, or Blue Green, and you were mentioning, ma'am, that Hilton just came back and said they're not going to give it to you. When you're doing $1 billion a year in revenue, right? I mean, I understand you may be that minute little thing, but you shouldn't be minute, because you're a customer of Hilton, and everybody should be treated fairly and equal. And those companies thrive on that, and they should give you your money back. I truly believe that, if it was done deceptively. It's a $1 billion corporation. It's the same thing in VOA. I might have a client, and there might be something that happens. You want to make it right? It's not about that. You have to make sure that the client feels happy. That's the number one goal. And I wish that they would do more of that. Right?
Well,
I agree with you, but you have made me respect them a little bit more, where I lost 100% respect of the Hilton properties and the various other ones after the stories here. I'm like, I don't even want to travel anymore if I have to go to these places. And I've lost so much trust in places that have a household name. And I will say this, that another thing that bothers me is the whole time in my presentation, they kept using the logo and the name of the hotel chain that they were probably partnered with, but as if they were that chain. So the whole time in the presentation, they misrepresented who they really were.
I have that problem, and I know we're almost done. I have that problem with VOA, is that sometimes people will misrepresent, because our brand, we've tried to create this credible brand, and other companies, they'll say, oh, well, here's the VOA logo, you can Google them. And it's not the case. And I have to speak to these members and let them know, what's actually happening. So I think our conversation today was amazing. And I really wish that each one of you that are having this situation gets a positive resolution. If there's anything we can do, anyone at My Resort Co-op, these are industry professionals. I know them very well, and I respect them on and off the business as friends too. If there's anything we can do to help you, we are here. Irene can let me know, and you're more than welcome to contact us, and we're here for you.
And
That's right. There's always a solution. Don't stop.
Yeah, there's always a solution.
We have 1 minute left. Lamira and Krista, I know that Joanne, I'm not going to hold you to anything. How do you feel about a 3-year program that would terminate after 3 years, knowing the booking that I got? Is that something you think, once this might be a year or two or down, behind you, would you consider something to be my buddy in this program?
I actually would, because I went back and I watched a couple episodes, because I'm only 32, and I almost gave up on travel. And my husband, he actually traveled the world a little bit more, so it was causing a rift in our relationship. But I was like, I just don't trust it. So I feel like once I get my house and I don't see that on my credit report anymore, I think I would be happy to look into that.
I want to start a Facebook group of people, the first 10 of us that use it. Krista, we've got a few seconds. What do you feel about a program like that?
I would just have to know all the details on it. So I'm so skeptical on everything anymore. So
I don't blame you a bit.
Yeah.
Well, let's find more solutions. Unfortunately, we're at the hour. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. Stay tuned next week when we tackle some more on Timeshare Solutions or Surrender at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe we'll start getting some people in the legal area that will start watching us and help us make these laws a little bit better too. Everyone take care. Have a safe week. Stay healthy so that you can stay wealthy.
Safe travels.
Hey,
Thank you.
Jonathan, send me pictures. Take care.
I will. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.